positive test, it is a question of public health. Ryan Nobles, Jessica Dean, thanks very much.
Let's bring in assistant editor for the Washington Post and our political commentator, David Swordlick, and senior White House correspondent for the Huffington Post, SV Date. SV, you were on Air Force One with the president on Wednesday. You went to cover that rally in Duluth, Minnesota. When were you informed of this exposure?
Well, I was informed when I saw the Bloomberg story last night, pretty much like everybody else.
No one told you?
No one told me. And what's most amazing to me is that the president, after finding out about his top aide testing positive, went and did a fundraiser in New Jersey at his own resort and possibly infected people there.
David Swordlick, it was our understanding that the president's message for the final stretch of the campaign was going to be twofold. One, we're turning the corner. You've heard him use that language before on COVID frequently, but also it's time to reopen the economy. And he was going to have several big rallies, right? In-person rallies. How does that change? Do we know? Has the president and his campaign announced changes to that yet? What are the necessities at this point?
Yeah, Jim, I think it has to change. Let me first say, let's hope that the Trumps recover. Let's be glad that the Pences have tested negative. Let's hope that the Bidens and the Harris-Emhoff family test negative later today. Our system doesn't work if there's not confidence that our leaders are safe. That's why we keep them bubble wrapped. To answer your question, Jim, I think there's a situation here where debates were already taking an outsized role because there was less campaigning than you would have in a normal election year, even though the president was proceeding with some of those rallies, like the one SV attended. So I think now there's this question of how are the campaigns going to get their message out? And then to your point, for the Trump campaign, this is what they've been going for all year. The idea that this isn't as bad as it seems. We're going to easily get past this. They've been saying it for months, and this was their closing argument going into Election Day, which is a month away. Now, I think it's going to be a lot harder for them to get that message across. And regardless of whether the president jumps back into the campaign phrase soon or not, it's a situation where his campaign is going to have to address coronavirus in a more head-on way, and the Biden campaign is going to have to figure out how they respond to that.
There is a chance that this is an important wake-up call for those in America who do not believe that they can contract COVID or do not believe how serious it is. There is that chance. If we could, in the control room, pull up some of this video we have, not just of the rally, SV, that you covered in Minnesota, but the way, the crowds around the president when he got off the Air Force One and when he got back on that night to return. I think it's important for people to see the proximity here. And as they get that pulled up, on the plane, as I understand it, Mark Meadows, the White House chief of staff, came back to talk to you guys for more than just a minute. What happened, and was he wearing a mask when he spoke with you?
Right. No, he came back for, I want to say at least 10 minutes, maybe 15. And this is not the first time. Mark Meadows likes to come to the back of the plane and talk with us. And a couple of trips ago, I remember asking him, and others asked, why are you not wearing a mask? And he said, well, I get tested every day, and I have it here with me, but, I don't feel like I'm a threat to anybody, and I would wear it, of course, if I did. Okay, so, again, this goes to the culture of the White House that masks are not good, and it's frowned upon to wear a mask in the White House. People don't wear them among the president's staff. We sure do in the press corps. But, that starts at the top. There's zero reason for Mark Meadows or anybody else on that plane not to have been wearing a mask, except for the times they're eating or drinking.
SV, I just want to ask you, given the lack of a fulsome sharing of information here, but also habits in the White House, do you feel that was unfair to your health, the health of the staff around the president? And CNN's reporting that the staff is concerned this morning about this, the White House staff.
Right, it was absolutely unfair. Right, beyond us. I've done articles about this. I have it in my book. Had the president treated this pandemic the way, for example, Angela Merkel did in Germany, we could have as few as 40,000 deaths right now had we taken this seriously. And we didn't take it seriously largely because the president of the United States didn't take it seriously. This continues to this day. We didn't even find out until it was leaked and people reported about this. We didn't get an advisor from the White House. I didn't get a call saying, hey, Mark Meadows came back, he was around Hope Hicks, maybe you should get tested. None of that happened. So, here we are.
David, very briefly before we go, in what way do you believe that this most upends the next 32 days?
Well, I think everybody's going to have to look to the administration and whether or not they're more forthcoming, both about the events of the last 24 or 36 hours and also about if they're ever going to take the pandemic more seriously. The president came out on March 11th and said all the right things in an Oval Office address, and then for the 6 months that followed, didn't follow through on those right things. It's anybody's guess whether they will change tune in the next month, but either way, President Trump is the president until at least January 20th at noon, and every day people's lives are in the balance.
It's a good point. David Swerdlook, SV Dottie, thanks to both of you.
Thanks.
So obviously financial markets totally on edge over this breaking news as well. We saw declines across Europe and some of the Asian markets, Dow futures down ahead of the opening bell. We'll talk about that with the president's former head of the Council of Economic Advisors next.